Hi, this is Lady Lex UK and this is another Dreams tutorial. Today I'm going to be looking at checkpoints. So what is a checkpoint? Well, basically this is the place where a player will respawn when they die. You can only have one checkpoint activated at any one time, and you can place them all over your map so that the player doesn't have to start at the beginning when they die. This is particularly useful for platformers, especially if you've got really hard areas on your platforming level. So you can have a respawn point at the beginning of a particularly difficult level if they're going to die a lot trying it. Instead of sending them right back to the beginning or back to a previous area, then you can stick the checkpoint right before a particularly difficult area so that the player doesn't get fed up with you and say, why have I got to go through all of this other stuff before I get to this hard bit? Right then, so checkpoints can be either totally invisible to the player, so he doesn't even know that there is a checkpoint available. They're hidden, they're just part of the game mechanics. Or he can have like a totem, something that activates when he gets near so that he knows that he's activated a totem. Or it can be something that he actually has to physically interact with, press a button or something in order to activate the checkpoint. So I'm going to show you how to do all of those. So let's start off. Before we do anything else, what happens if you don't have any checkpoints at all, right? So if you've got no checkpoints in your level and you die, your player will automatically respawn at the place in which you place your player at the first time that they enter the game. So this, if I was to move it, so let's move my player. Let's move him over to this corner where the yellow totem is. We'll play the game. We'll run about. We'll die, and there we go. I've respawned back where I started. So it's wherever you place your player at the beginning of the game. Let's stick him back over there. That's where he will respawn. And if you don't need checkpoints in your game, then that's going to work perfectly fine. You don't need to worry about this. Now then, checkpoints. If you go into your gadget area, go to gameplay gear. The checkpoint is the first one. It's a little marker with a tick on it. Now you can place that in your level anywhere you like, and if you scope into it, so that's left one and square, you can see that it actually has an inbuilt trigger zone. So you don't need to add a trigger zone for this, only in certain circumstances. But as a normal checkpoint, you don't need to add anything to it. This will work as is. It has its own trigger zone. So we can reduce it and make it bigger. So we're going to stick it. I'm going to stick it on this red dot. Okay, so if the player walks into this area and then they die, this is where they're going to respawn. This gizmo here, this little arrowy thing, this is the way the player is going to face. So let's have him facing that blue totem over there. So, if I was to die now, I will just respawn at the beginning. But if we walk into our trigger zone, and then we kill ourselves, we've respawned in that red zone facing that blue totem. There you go. So they're invisible to the player. He can't see those. But I have some totems here that he can see. So if he walks over to this one, it starts to glow. This totem is now active. And if I was to die, I'm now respawning right in front of that checkpoint. And if I go into the microchip and choose my checkpoint, you can see this is where it's put me in the middle. It's put me in the middle. So we can move it across if you want him a little bit further forwards. Again, if you want him facing a different way, you can change that trigger zone. This is the trigger zone for activation. There we go. So let's make one. I have got a totem here that I have made. It comes in two parts. I've got an inside and an outside. This is the inside cone, and I've got an outside cone, which I chopped up using the cutout tool. Put some holes in it and what have you, so you can see the insides through it. And what we're going to do is we're going to put a microchip. Let's just turn that off. We're going to put a microchip on our totem. There we go, like that. Open it up. And I'm going to grab my checkpoint. And now I'm going to grab a keyframe. And in our keyframe, all we're going to do is scope into our inner cone. And I'm going to make it glow like that. That's quite bright. Let's do about there. That's about right. Press record. I'm now going to change this so that it's a slow power up, so it starts to glow and stops glowing slowly, so it doesn't just flick on, but it's up to you what style you do. And I'm going to power that up to the currently active on that microchip, so like so. And then I'm going to put that inside my totem, so inside of that is going to glow. So that one's active. Now this one is active, and that has turned that off. Now this one is active, and this one is active. Now obviously I've chosen a glow effect, but you can do all sorts of animations and things. So here is a flag. So I've made a pole with a flag. These are two separate sculpts, but they are linked together, they're sculpted in together. So here's my microchip. Whoops. There we go. I've got my checkpoint in there. So now all I need is a keyframe. Stamp my keyframe. Grab my flag. Put it up there. Press record. And let's do it 4 seconds. Like so. And then link that to my keyframe. There we go. So I can now activate that. So that's turned that little flag on. And if I've activated that one, that little flag goes down. Right. Now, what if you wanted the player to interact with it? So this one has got a little triangle above it. I've now activated that one manually. So let's have a look at the code for that. Now, as you can see, it's a little bit more complicated. And we've got a trigger zone. Now, the reason for this is because I want to use an AND gate to say that I've pressed a button. And unfortunately, the trigger zone inside our checkpoint doesn't really allow me to do this. So we're going to have to put in an extra trigger zone. So we've got a trigger zone. There we go. On the object. And we've got a controller sensor. And we've done this before on other tutorials. I've got remote controllable. Do this first. Do this first before you do anything else. Then I've linked it to the triangle and we've put it in to our AND gate. So this is saying, are we detecting the player and has he pressed the triangle button? If so, we're going to activate our checkpoint. And there's our keyframe. And this is also going to activate this NOT gate, which is linked into this AND gate. So it says when you detect the player and the checkpoint is not activated, then we're going to display the text display, the little triangle above. There we go. Pretty simple, really. So that's how you activate something manually, so the player has to press the button and activate our microchip. So there we go. There are a very simple little basic run through of the checkpoint and how you could actually use it. Thanks for watching. Hope that was useful, and I'll catch you in your dreams.